Every episode of The Scene is brought to you by DBS Entertainment, presenters of the Solstice Shakedown, happening June 22nd at The Den at 909 West Avenue in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We're also brought to you by these great sponsors: Team Pluto, The Den Cocktails and Casino in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Hummingbird Guitars, Kathmandu Campground in Sturgis, South Dakota, and J. Rick Music, your hometown music store on 41st Street in Sioux Falls. Remember to join us for the Solstice Shakedown and the Team Pluto Fashion Show, happening June 22nd at the Den in Sioux Falls. Remember to check out Starts and Ends and their new single, Building Today, coming out in June. Well, welcome into another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and today I'm joined by Artist+Yogi, Chelsie Bauer. Welcome to the show, Chelsie.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I've always wanted to be on a podcast, so yeah, super happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad that we get to be your first one. We are old friends. We've known each other for several decades now. I'm not going to say how many.
Decades.
But when you start counting time in that fashion, right, you've gotten old.
Yes, we have.
So,
for the best of us.
But for all of our listeners, why don't you give them a little bit of who is Chelsie Bauer?
Sure. So I am born and raised in Deadwood, and I live in the Black Hills now. I've never lived anywhere else but the Black Hills. Love it here. It's beautiful. I went to school at Black Hills State University and got my major in mass communications, emphasis on graphic design with a photography minor. And, I've been doing that pretty much since I got out of school. I worked for the museums in Deadwood, which is now called Deadwood History, Inc., and I was there for 10 years, and then in December of 2020, I was like, I think it's time to try something else. So I decided to become self-employed, which was it was a big leap of faith, but I figured I could do it, and I had a ton of support. So fast forward to now, I have 2 businesses, technically 3, but I have Pine Girl Arts. I do photography, social media management, graphic design, and then some art stuff. And then I have Roots of Peace Yoga, where I kind of like freelance teach yoga around the hills. And then I also teach swim lessons, which was never a part of the plan. But I was on swim team when I was younger, and then I helped coach for a while when I was in college. So, yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I live in the woods with my husband and my corgi.
And what a wonderful life it is.
Yes, absolutely.
I love how small towns work. Because we live in Tyndall now, not much different than the town that we both grew up in.
Right.
And you kind of fill the roles that you had in high school in some ways, right?
No.
You just never get out of those groups, right? It's the same groups of people, and then people grow up, and I'm sure some of the kids that, you're teaching how to swim are children of people that you went to school with.
That's exactly correct. Yeah, and it's so fun to see that come full circle. It's really cool.
Yeah, so I'm out here in Tyndall, and we're kind of, I'm new to the area, but we're seeing, my wife is kind of going through that with her generation, and
sure.
And with her involvement in the school, she knows all the kids, and hearing, Mrs. Starts in the streets now is such a wonderful
Aww.
experience. She was just a para this year, but she actually, and we'll talk about it because no other wonderful person to break the news to and with on the podcast for the first time. But my wife, Danielle Starts, has just been accepted into a position. They only offer 93 of these a year by the South Dakota Board of Regents, or the South Dakota Board of Education, to be accepted into a teacher certificate program, so that she will be, while still working for the school as a para and working in the district, she'll be going through school completely paid for to get a teaching certificate and to continue her education and become an educator.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, congratulations to her. That's super exciting. She'll be wonderful at that.
Yep. Well, and she just, honestly, she went in there because she was out of last May. She had gotten injured at her previous job, and we finally were like, look, you're just not getting better. right? They're about to kick you off of all the, they're kicking you off of all the things, right? You're not getting the workman's comp. They're not doing anything for you anymore.
Right.
Why keep going back there and re-injuring yourself when you don't go there, you're able to heal. So she took last summer off and just kind of stayed at home with the kids, saved us a bunch of money on daycare, right? And then when school started again, they needed a paraprofessional. And she was just like, should I go and talk to him? I was like, well, what does it hurt to just go talk to him? And she walked out with a job.
Perfect.
Right.
Love
and
it.
now that job has led to seeing how passionate she was about these kids and realizing that that's really where her heart is, and that she happens to be very good at these things and connecting with these kids and shaping the next generation of young people. Right.
Love it.
And now she's been recognized by not just her bosses and, her principal and superintendent and the school board, but also by the state of South Dakota as well. We looked up the stats. She's a less than 1% of the state of South Dakota's population is selected for this program every year. So
that's incredible. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Pretty awesome. And we all thought I was going to be the rock star.
You both are. You both have shining lights.
Well, we are, and we are just shining so bright right now that we can't be tamped down, right? No matter what life throws at us. We got such a great crew around us, and we're getting together for an event this week that has been through some flux, but I think we can still talk about the event because I'm confident that we're going to figure it out. This Saturday, June 22nd, is the Solstice Shakedown. You're coming out from Deadwood to join us and bring some of your stuff. What kind of stuff are you bringing with you to the show?
So because it's a show and I haven't actually vended in a really long time, I'm going to bring out some prints, and I'll probably bring a few of my shadow boxes. So I mainly do nature photography. So I'll have like some pictures of some local flowers that I just took on Saturday up in the Eagle Cliff area, if you're familiar with the Black Hills. And then I do double exposures, so it's like one photo over another photo. So I have one of those. I took a photo of a blood moon, I don't know, 5 years ago, and then I put some pine trees over the top of that. So I'll have some cool stuff like that, and so 8 by 10 prints, 9 by 12s, and some cards, and yeah, it should be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I have some of your art in the studio with us. I think it's a favorite of yours. I actually won it in a raffle when we had an event up in Lead a few years ago. I don't know if you remember.
Right. Yep, I forgot about that. Yeah, it was the event that we both had to bail because there was a fire out close to where we live. Yep.
Chelsie, I forgot about the fire. Yep. That's just wild, right? I mean, obviously, I would have remembered, but yeah, just looking at the picture, I forgot about that whole weekend just being a blur, right? Because it kind of ended there. My fun weekend was over, where it was like, okay, you got to get in do it mode. Talk about living in the woods, Chelsie.
Right? Yeah. It's always a gamble. One never knows, but we like it because it's away from a lot of people.
Yeah. And of course, a big shout out to our wildland firefighters in the Black Hills and all over this beautiful country and around the world. We appreciate your guys' work and you putting your lives on the line. I gave them a big shout when I drove by, when they had finally kind of gotten it contained. And yeah, wow. It's the panic that set in. Well, I was just chilling. I was sitting in the sun enjoying it, and Chelsie came out white as a ghost. I gotta go. There's a fire, and I was like, "Oh my God, sweetheart, yeah." Oh no, wait a minute, you're my neighbor.
Yeah, I was like, "You have to go too."
Yeah, we're going together. Come on, let's go. Yep. Oh, fun! I'm so glad that we got this story out on here now. That's what's fun about podcasts,
I kind of
right?
forgot about it too.
Especially when you're talking with friends. And I will be, I'll be out. It's funny, we're probably going to pass each other on the interstate this weekend, but
I was thinking that yesterday. Yep.
That's okay. That's okay. We're so happy to be traveling and going home this weekend to spend a little time, and glad that we're going to get to spend some time with you at the Solstice Shakedown in Sioux Falls at a venue TBD. You might hear it on the ads for this show on tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, perfect. There you go.
Hey, this is how they used to do it in the 60s, pop-up shows, right? You never know where we're going to show up, but we got a party wherever we land.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I'm just so happy to see you, and I got a lot of other friends that are coming too, right? And that's what these shows are about anymore. We were just in Minneapolis this last weekend for Father's Day, and I got to play 2 new venues and take my kids to a Twins game.
That's awesome.
And I realized that this is what our life is about now, right? Letting the music kind of pave the way for our experiences. And even if it isn't, filling stadiums and all of that, that's kind of irregardless of the point.
Yeah, you're building a community.
Exactly. And I think we got some people buying into what we're doing with the podcast. And yeah, people like you, small business owners, come and talk about your business. Tell us what you're up to. That's so much of it, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So Breathe in the Black Hills is some monthly events that you're doing?
Yeah, so when I've been certified as a yoga instructor for 4.5 years, got certified in 2019, thank God, because it was right before the pandemic happened. So I had all of this lovely inward work that I did that helped me get through that really terrible dark time. But yeah, once I got certified, I was like, man, it'd be really cool to teach in the parks throughout the summer. And I think one of my students had said that at some point, oh, somebody used to do this, you should do it. And so this last winter, my friend Katie Swenson, who lives in Sturgis, she just got certified as a yoga instructor in Rapid last fall. She was like, hey, I want to teach in the parks. And I was like, oh, I've wanted to do that too. So we decided to partner up and do this Breathe in the Black Hills yoga series. So we have yoga every Saturday in June from 9 to 10 a.m. at the Manuel Brothers Park in Lead. It's admission by donation. We're down in the park kind of close to the volleyball courts or sand, whatever you want to call it. I clearly don't play volleyball. And so we'll be there. Katie will teach the next 2 Saturdays, so she'll be there at the 22nd and the 29th. And then in July, we'll scoot over to the Hills and Plains Park over in Sturgis, which is on the way to Fort Meade, if you're familiar with Sturgis. There's a waterfall back there. We'll be kind of on the other side of the monument at the end of the soccer field. And it'll be 9 to 10 again, admission by donation there. And then in August, we'll be back in Lead at the park again. So, yeah, we're excited. And Katie and I swap Saturdays, so it works really well because then we still have some Saturday time during the summer.
So it's every Saturday?
Yep, it's every single Saturday, and we just flip-flop. So, yeah, June in Lead, July in Sturgis, and then August back in Lead.
That is so awesome. So yeah, we'll see if we can't find some local sponsors for you too. That would be interested in tagging along on that, and maybe we can make it. Obviously you're making it as cheap as you can by a donation only, but
well, and it's going. So far, it's going really well. Yoga can be kind of hit and miss up in Lead, Deadwood. But yeah, we've been making good money so far. We co-taught the first one, and then we'll co-teach the end one at the end of August. And we might bring in somebody to do a half an hour sound bath as well. So
that sounds awesome.
About that.
Yeah, and then right down by the waterfall and everything too. My goodness, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
you might see me
great.
there.
Perfect. We hope to. Yeah.
I don't have a trip planned to the hills in July yet, but very, very soon. I'm traveling out there this week and also next week. So yeah, a lot of time, a lot of windshield time. Yeah, well, if you want to be a rock star, right?
There you go. Yeah.
So, and if that's our expenses fuel right now, at least the prices are coming down before the election here. So,
yes,
politics, yay!
Point. Yay, politics.
Yeah, nah, they'll probably flag us on Spotify now. It's all good.
Oh, so fun.
Good. Yeah, no, well, Chelsie, I just appreciate talking to you. We're dear friends, and I hope that we continue to get to do events together and podcasts together and just hang out together for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. Yes,
I
appreciate everything that you do, and you're really I'm so proud of you for everything that you've accomplished after everything that you've been through. It's truly awesome to watch. So well done.
Well, thank you for that. I forget sometimes the origin story isn't great. Oh yeah, there's
interesting people come from.
Yeah, and it's definitely taking a turn right now, and it's impossible not to feel it. And it's a pleasure really to be able to have an outlet like this podcast as kind of a diary of what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, I should be writing this down. I was like, brother, you're recording podcasts literally weekly and sharing your whole life out there. I think there's a record of it, right?
Yeah,
You know,
perfect.
where maybe my deepest inner thoughts I can write down somewhere. I'll talk about anything with anyone. So speaking of which, yeah, I think the episode, well, we're going to tease it right now. Coming up next on The Scene, next week's episode is going to be with Bill Payne from Little Feat. So a sign of where the scene is going and the bigger
deal.
things to come. Yeah, I'm glad to break some huge news on the show with you today, Chelsie. Thanks for that.
Yeah, same. I'm so excited for you.
Well, hey, I'm going to see you Saturday. You travel safe. I'll do the same, and we'll see you
I was
around.
going to say there and back again.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, and for everyone else, this has been The Scene. Find us on Spotify, YouTube, or at listen.to/The Scene. Follow us on all your social media channels and make yourself part of The Scene. The Scene has a special shout out for these following sponsors. Kathmandu Campground in Sturgis, South Dakota, featuring the finest accommodations for family fun. Dry cabin and tent camping, or bring the RV to one of their over 150 pull-through RV sites. Go to KathmanduCampground.com to book your trip today. And be sure to book early for the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally the first weekend in August. That's Kathmandu Campground in Sturgis, South Dakota, off exit 34, I-90. Go to KathmanduCampground.com to book your trip today. A special thank you to J. Rick Music on 41st Street in Sioux Falls. Sponsors of the Songwriter Showcase at Monk's Ale House, 420 East 8th Street in downtown Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Remember to support all of our sponsors and tell them that you heard it on The Scene.